We got a few people in here. Hey, Marengo. What's up, man? Long time. Sorry we missed everybody last week. Bit busy. Been working overclocked a little bit. Hey, Sax. Hey, Fook. Doing all right. We've been trying to figure out where all the sell pressure is coming from because the price keeps getting just tanked every day. Seems like the airdrop hunters have mostly left, and like most of them have dropped it. Oh yeah, can't talk about the whiteboard. There's another big one over here, a bunch more around. Big issue that we've noticed is the market makers that we've been working with. If anybody remembers Melvis, he set us up with some market makers, and then he kind of disappeared after that. So there's a bunch of airdrops, and then there's the market makers. And I think what we've noticed is the tokens from the airdrops wouldn't have been enough to cause the sell pressure that we're seeing. So we're kind of thinking happened is that the market makers have sort of taken advantage of their position, and that puts us in a bit of a tight spot where we trusted these market makers to uphold their contracts, and for the most part, it seems like as opposed to actually supporting the token price, they just dumped into the launch, which is why we saw that big sell-off. And then since then, we've seen kind of like layers of sell-offs as well, which is unfortunate. Yeah, Marango, that's how I feel too. We have found a new market maker who's quite a bit more honest and comes highly recommended. So they're going to be taking over starting today. I don't know if that's enough to stop the bleeding, but I think it's going to start helping. We do have at the same time, in addition to the new market maker, we also have a number of ongoing activities that I think are going to really help. Tancho DEX being one of them. Some trading bots as well are coming out, and some of the stuff that IDO's been doing with wrapping DPINs onto the network. Thing is, this stuff just all takes time, right? It's not none of it's an immediate solution. It's stuff that starts to build the internal economics, which is kind of the yeah, man. Rango, I feel you on that. The buying the token doesn't seem to make it go up right now, unfortunately. And there's some pretty large players that are kind of sniping any buy orders. So instead of actually buying the token, you're not buying it from us. You're buying it from the snipers who are kind of like large institutional market makers, which is not ideal. So we're working on solutions for that as well. So we should have some things in place that'll make that a little bit easier. We have some big marketing campaigns coming up across a few ecosystems. So that's still all going forward. It just takes time to get it moving. The trick is it's not about doing it quick. It's about doing it right with all of this stuff. Otherwise, it's pretty hard to grow the thing. So we might see the price slump more from here, but we are prepared for the long haul, and we're growing as it stands. So it's not the end of the world. It just is. It's pretty tight times for the Koii Labs team. So if you see them not replying, that's probably why. Everybody's working hard, but it's tricky. Love this fish picture though. This is pretty great. I think we have Jordan here from Tancho to give us an update. Jordan, I'm going to invite you up on the stage. Hey, Jordan.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, long time.
It's been a while. It's been a week as well. So how's everyone doing? Looks like everyone's doing good, except
Rango says great
everything.
hair.
Thank you. I do try. I've been told I'm a finance bro here. So
Hey, Secker. How you doing?
hey, how's it going?
How's Tancho going, guys?
It's going good. Just pushing through the final integration. I'm pretty sure Saga can fill a bit more in on the more in-depth technical side of everything. But yeah.
Somebody waving at me from outside the conference room. So you guys are in the process of shipping a beta version. Sounds like that's exciting.
Yeah, so currently we are testing the contracts on the testnet side. So in the DEX side, there is a two-part, as I think we discussed in the last call, like open book and the other part. So we testing open book. Fuck.
It's like we got you back. Hey, still there? I think we lost your audio.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm also just quickly moving. My internet has not been the best this past week, actually.
All good. Marango, while these guys are getting set up, do you want to come give us an update about tree? I know you guys are actually starting to plant some trees now. That's pretty exciting.
Hello. Yeah, sorry. There was some connection issue. So I'm audible now? Yeah.
Yep. Hey, you're all good.
Yeah. So yeah, we are testing currently open book order book on the testnet. So currently, because as our Solana compatibility issue because there, so it was resolved now. So the contract as per our Solana version is now done. So like I'm testing the open book contract is deployed now. Doing the some market making stuff there. So it should be like because the market making is a very important part to test in the order book side. So currently we are doing that actually because there is a two part of chain order book and on chain. So just we are checking the market making part is working correctly as per our rules. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you guys have a launch date in mind for beta testing? Any chance people can start playing with the
Yeah.
prototype before it goes live?
We are getting second week of July. We launch open like means currently we testing the with internal team for the all the people who can test with us and get help. So we are planning to do the testing and people who can contribute in that testing. Also, maybe in the future they can be a part of the initial community of the Tancho DEX. So yeah, it is a good opportunity to everyone in the community to also be a part of tester. So we want to be a make Swap as community driven project as possible. So we are on the path of that actually.
Some stuff. So maybe something for the big fish to try out in a
Around
couple.
12 to 10 July. So soon we announce that on our social media, like maybe guys can follow on Twitter. Maybe Jordan could.
Can we get the X link in the chat there? Make sure everybody's following, and maybe we can all retweet something. There it is. Nice.
Right there. Shown right there.
Am I following? I think I'm following.
You're following, yeah.
I am following. Good, cool. I'll follow from all my other accounts as well.
Yeah, so yeah, I request all the people in the current call maybe can follow. It is very you guys are really to the community. So yeah, take the advantage of that. Follow the our Twitter to get updates there.
Totally. I got you 3 more. All my spare accounts. That's awesome, guys. Really exciting times. I recall as well. Both of you guys are using Cursor, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Miranda, you
Cursor
guys
now we are also I start using cloud code. It is very awesome. Overall, like I'm combining Cursor with cloud code actually, and it is very agentic than the Cursor. I think as per my experience last week I have using. as a part of the coding, but is very good internally because it
Yeah,
understands.
I've been spending quite a while extending what we've been doing with Prometheus to use Quad Code and Cursor. So I should have something pretty cool for you guys with a Cursor extension coming out for Tribe that does like background agent type stuff, which should be cool. Kind of like having hundreds of Quad Code instances when you're using Cursor, so you can do both at the same time. But we'll talk about that more later. That's what we've been doing for Tribe Code. Marango and his team also started getting really into Cursor recently as well. I understand that you guys are now planting trees.
Hello. Yes. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
I'm like I said at the beginning of the chat, I'm happy to come on with TCN next week or the week after, but trees are being planted. We're starting to plot those around the world now. We've got some investments coming in. People are making some donations, and we're working on some partnerships and sponsorships at the moment just to start getting some traction to see some global planting for the guys that are supporting the project. So we'll have a full update probably next week or the week after. But yeah, things are going really well. I'm about to start my own project as well. I think I've got about 2 or 3 other developments that I want to probably talk to you at some point, Al, about. But yeah, it's great. It's a brilliant platform, and we're really enjoying what's happening at the moment. So yeah, great, good things to come.
Exciting, love it. I see that we have now tree planting happening. Does that mean that there's some kind of a dashboard coming potentially for the node operators too, to start figuring out how the trees get planted?
It's on the website. On our actual website, you can see donations, people that have actually sort of contributed. There's a couple of guys from the community, some of the mods, myself, and I'm roping family and friends into sort of just getting some traction, which is great for when we go out to show to sponsorship and bring in some sort of revenue and some real fiat to sort of get that kick-started. So there will be a dashboard. We're hoping to integrate something into the node as well, so people will have a leaderboard. And like I say, we'll probably have something in the next couple of weeks, possibly next week, or if not the week after, and we'll be able to showcase a little bit more about that, so people can track their donations, their GPS locations, the satellite imagery of where those trees are actually going. So yeah, it gives a bit of meaning to the project as well, not just I've donated, here's that, and it's a virtual thing. It's an actual real tangible location that people can see. So that's what we're looking for.
Awesome, that's really exciting. Is that a dog or something in the background blurred out there? What's going on in the corner?
It's a cat. I don't know how you turn the blur off, but let's have a look. You can see him. He's an indoor cat only. He's not allowed to go outside. There he is. He's licking his backside as well, which is brilliant. Just in time for a conference call. He's having some food. He's got one blue eye and one green eye. He's very interesting. He's from Australia. We brought him back to the UK, but he's not allowed to go outside. He's having his dinner. Right. Keep it PC. Sorry.
What's the cat's name?
Casper, the friendly ghost.
Casper.
Yeah. And now he's just going to
Nice.
sit there and ruin the furniture. Yeah.
Very cute. Nice. Yeah, there's been a bunch of other questions from the community. I'm going to jump into a few of those now, but I appreciate you guys giving updates. I'm sure we'll get a demo on Tree, maybe for the new website in the next week or two.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, Vuk's sending you a whole bunch of emojis in the chat. Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, we let him out to get eaten. That's the problem. He's not domesticated. He's an indoor cat, unfortunately.
Fair enough. Nice. We're gonna need a cat meme coin on Koii, it looks like.
Yeah.
Based on the amount of cat love we're seeing. Somebody needs to launch a meme coin for cats.
Yeah, he's good.
Very cool. Yeah, the other stuff community's been asking about is mostly around like roadmap. We do have the roadmap up on the website now. I don't know if I can screen share. My Nitro for Discord has been pretty bad, but I will. I'll drop a link in here so you guys can take a look. It seemed like a lot of people were asking about roadmap this week, and that was confusing for me because it's been up on the website for like 2 weeks now. Let me see if I can get a link just for this section for you guys.
I think there was a concern around, I'm just representing some of the questions that people have sent me or things have been discussed. I think there might have been a change to the roadmap around the mobile nodes or something. Something's been dropped or changed from the original launch of the roadmap to what is now. Something might have been altered or modified.
Yeah, we have had the mobile node kind of on the back burner for a while. The problem is that one just takes a lot of engineering resources, so it's something that like it's very hard for us to do that and also all the other stuff that's going on. The other side of it is like the ROI for mobile devices is just a lot lower. So while it'd be good for onboarding, it doesn't really actually help us make money. So it'd be great for the airdrop hunters, but I don't know that it would actually help. Wouldn't actually help build TVL that much. Um, just posted this in here. Looks like Vincent wants to get unbanned. I guess Bob can probably help you with that. Bob, can we unban Vincent? Yeah, maybe he'll take a look at it. I just dropped the roadmap in here though, because I can't screen share. But I just want to highlight that we are actually like pretty on track for what we've been trying to achieve this year. We've got the DEX listings planned, though we're just waiting for liquidity on those. So we're trying to change out the market makers before we go down that route. And then we have a lot of this direct integrations of other DPIN stuff coming together, as well as the trading bots. So a lot of what's been on there, we've been just going through ticking these off one by one. We've been pretty dedicated on that side. The marketplace automation AI is the one piece that we haven't really delved into, but a lot of what we're doing now with Tribe and cursor extensions and stuff is going to really help with that. A lot of these are really big technical jobs that would have normally taken like a team of 10 or 20 people, but the team's been grinding. So, as usual, we here at Koii are, building out a lot of really strong tech, and we're kind of building out the adoption side. For those that are worried about the token price, I just want to highlight like how that fits together. I've explained this a few times before. The key thing is we need lots of tokens to be moved onto Koii so that we can have lots of trading volume and lots of gas fee usage. So there's two parts to that. One of them is the trading bots, which there's a few people, Coin Harbor and Orbit, that are working on those trading bots. Those are still coming along. They take a long time to fine tune and get them perfect. And we don't want to launch trading bots prematurely, because if you launch a trading bot and it doesn't do a good job, everybody loses their money. So rather than you guys losing money, we'd prefer to take our time and make sure that's done properly. The other side of it is wrapping DPINs onto Koii. So IDO has been leading the charge with that, and we had the Mysterium node go live a couple weeks ago. We're expecting, though, that once that's done, we're going to have a standard that we can use for wrapping any EVM-based DPIN onto Koii. And so there's a bunch of those that will be accessible pretty quickly. So we're just trying to get this first run perfect, and then once we've got the first run set up correctly, then we'll be moving on to start integrating others. So these things all happen kind of slow and then very quickly. And it's one of those things where if we don't do it right the first time, then it'll take a long time to do it at all. And we'd rather just kind of get it done correctly. So I do appreciate the patience everybody's had with waiting for all this to come together. If does anybody who's here have any questions or want to hop on stage? I know there's a whole bunch of people that show up every week that are always here asking. Or I guess Marango, do you have anything I've missed?
Just the general feeling, which I think you've touched on, is the price. Obviously, it just seems to be in a spiral decline, dropping further and further and further. And I think the consensus was, and I think Bob and Sachs and some of the other guys have been quite forward about explaining the method behind that. Obviously, there's the airdrops, there's tokens that were given away, there was pre-launch stuff, there was stuff migrated across. It's just people are selling, and there's that confidence that the project is just going to hit rock bottom. But the way I see it, and the logic that I still understand within crypto, is that if we all buy a bunch of tokens and we hold the floor and we don't sell, it can't drop below a certain threshold level. That's my understanding. Is that still the case in crypto?
I think that's really the case. There's like
the community can hold the
people
floor.
who got the tokens for free. The people who got tokens for free are really the risk factor here. And most of those have sold off now. So most of the airdrops had 6-month vesting. So they're just coming up on their last vesting this month. So the last vesting for the 6-month vesting people will be was actually this like a couple weeks ago. So we're still seeing some of those sell off, which is probably where the worst part's coming from. The other thing is that there's also a whole bunch of tokens that are held by our market makers from the initial launch, where they were not as upfront as we thought they would be. So we're in the process of resolving those relationships, and I think that's going to help clear things up a little bit. So we're working on bringing in a new market maker that's going to be a lot better. Unfortunately, the bankers have a lot of power to screw things. Fortunately, it seems to be the cycle there.
Just in terms of Prometheus and the associated package around all of that, obviously a lot of us are paying into put credits onto the system to get rewarded in Koii once the system sort of rewards us back from the node from running the tasks. Is that revenue, or are we able to understand or have some insight onto how that revenue will be split? So if I put $100 onto credit and I run the task for a month and I get a certain amount of Koii back, where does that revenue go? Where does that fiat dollar value disperse within Koii, within the UK system? How does that $100 get shared out? Because that's still a bit unknown to me as well.
So if you put up a $100 bounty on Prometheus, it basically all goes out to node operators. That's been the goal.
Right.
At the moment, we've mostly been testing the system. So we're putting up Koii tokens, which means that if you sell them, then the price goes down.
Yeah.
We have been working on bringing in some like larger corporate partners there. That's a big part of what the Tribe product is for as well. So Tribe's going to give us the ability to have not just not just crypto people using Prometheus, but also having like Web 2 folks and like just people who are using Cursor be able to use Prometheus. And I think that's the key thing is like we want to get into that market of people who are already using vibe coding tools as opposed to trying to get crypto people to start using Prometheus for whatever they're doing. So it's a bit of a vampire attack on the existing vibe code market, and we're trying to insert Prometheus there as like a powerful tool that people can actually use. That being said, these are all again long-term things. So if getting paid out in Koii tokens isn't comfortable for people, we're working on trying to get some USDC angles in there. Kind of think of this as a test net for Prometheus, though. And if we don't have that test net for Prometheus, then it's hard to get to the next phase because it's just there's a lot of fine tuning that goes into making sure that we can write code autonomously with AI.
Yeah, because like if I put $100 in, I'll be quite happy for a 85% to go to somewhere and then 15% to run what you need to pay wages and bills and things like that. So to me, and I know I'm in a different financial situation to a lot of other people here, other investors have different cash flow issues, they have their own investment portfolio strategies and things like that, but I wouldn't not fund it if I knew that all of it wasn't going to the community. I would be quite happy for a percentage to run the platform and pay wages and things like that. So that's my other logic of how I look at my investments as well. So you've got to keep the lights on, you've got to pay the bills, and some of that's got to come from somewhere. So I'm quite happy either way that it goes, but others may not.
There's a value add on top of the Claude credits. So using Claude alone, you don't get like quite the performance that you're going to get from Prometheus. So that's where like we can create a margin that allows the investors to get rewarded while also paying the node operators back for whatever they spend on Claude. And the other side to think of, kind of look at is you have a certain amount of compute that goes into simulating an app, which is actually fairly expensive. And so the node is providing that compute and getting paid as a premium for that compute, where you should be getting paid more than what the Claude credits are that you're spending. So we've been working on fine tuning those numbers. We do have a price calculator that we've been looking at. So that'll allow us to price things a little bit more comfortably. So when you first create a bounty, for example, it won't just be like you enter a number, you'll actually be pricing it to the work that needs to get done. And I think that's something that has been growing in the vibe coding industry, and we're trying to adopt that now too. So that's going to hopefully help preserve margins for node operators. If there is anybody that's feeling like they're getting like ripped off, or they're paying a lot more to Anthropic than they're getting in terms of rewards on the node, that does happen sometimes. And if that does happen, it's really good signal for us. So that's where we want that information back so that we can then figure out what happened. Because sometimes the node will get stuck in a loop where it's doing something that's maybe not super valuable. And if the node does a bunch of stuff that isn't valuable, then it's wasting money, and obviously then that's when you get paid less, right? Kind of like running a Bitcoin miner on a really small computer. It's like the expected payoff is quite low, but you could still waste a lot of electricity to do so. So we're kind of thinking that that's sort of where these things are headed, but it's something that's complicated to fine tune. So we're working on adding more details so that we can actually track all that.
Cool.
I know that Ina had sent me a whole list of questions that I was supposed to go over, actually, so I'm going to quickly take a look at those and just see if we've covered them all. I also am going to publish a letter that covers kind of the longer term roadmap and what's coming next. I know there's been some concern about tokens like Fire and that kind of thing. We definitely expect that those will be used in a variety of ways. Fire was always expected to be kind of our internal token for kind of promotional stuff, so you'll probably be able to buy T-shirts and Koii swag. There's some other options around that too, where there's a couple other pieces that we expect to come out. And there are a whole bunch of other projects that have launch tokens and then have like either gotten bored or tired. The market's not in a great place, so a lot of these projects are kind of on hold, or the teams are just like not able to focus on them full time right now. But I think we will see an alt season pretty soon, so a lot of those projects will probably come back and hopefully pump their tokens on Tancho. There's another question in here about dedicated X account and site for the Koii 3 updates. For now, it's all run by the DAO. So the DAO has control of the minting wallet. There's no ability to launch more tokens without the DAO. And we're going to be adding the DAO governance through DAOs.fund for that. So we expect at least, there's an expectation that that will all be handled by the DAO and by the people who are holding Koii 3. But we are going to work on having the trading bots launch once DAOs.fund is compatible. So we've been working on that for a while. And there's also some mention in here about the bonus task. The only reason we've held off with the bonus task right now is just that we don't want to give out more Koii tokens at this moment because there's just already a lot of sell pressure in the chart. It wouldn't really help anybody. We might do some kind of a bonus task in correlation with an upcoming marketing campaign. But it would have to start with people actually buying tokens in order for it to work out well. So it's it's a bit of a balance. If you're only here as a node operator and you're not holding Koii as an investment, then ultimately everybody else is paying for you to be here. And while we really want to focus on node operators being the priority, it's more about trying to bring in business at this point. So that's the top priority. But again, if people are feeling that their node isn't profitable enough, or there's something missing on that side, that's where we want to hear back from you in the community, and we can try to actually make sure that we're moving in a direction that's going to be more valuable for you. There's a bunch of questions about other tokens that are on the ecosystem. Most of those have their own teams behind them, so I can't really speak to most of those. The market's been down for a while though in crypto, so I think a lot of people have they've slowed down on their side projects, so they moved on a different direction. I do think over the course of this year, we're going to see the token rebound. It's just a matter of when and how. It's part of why we've been really focused on bringing in new market makers and doing things that generate TVL. But it's not there's no immediate solution for it. I think over the last few months, I've heard a few people ask, why don't we have some big institutional backer that's just buying up all the tokens? I don't know. I wish we did. We've tried to meet with them. Most of them, I think, got burned last cycle, and most of the big investors that are out there don't want to be buying up tokens like that anymore. So it's not so much a problem with Koii, it's a problem with the whole market, and there just not being a lot of investors with excess liquidity right now. I do see that there's a whole bunch of questions about the number of node runners and whether or not we can do things like Grass or Uprock. Uprock hasn't been doing very well either, so I don't know if that's a great example. And Grass is mostly just stealing people's data. So there's a number of these situations where it would be great if we could just have a mobile app. With Accurist, you have to actually put a whole new operating system on your phone, and you can't use the phone at all. So we focused on things where people can use their devices, which there's a very fine line there of finding applications that will work for people. And so we're very focused on finding those applications where people can actually continue using the device, because most people don't have a whole bunch of spare devices around. And so we've been pretty focused on things that we can do that are more collaborative and don't require you to completely put a new operating system on or sell all your data. And since these other options do exist, encourage you to keep mining tokens. I wouldn't want anybody here to miss out on mining extra tokens. There's certain ways that we can mine things on Koii, and that's kind of what we're focused on at the moment. I do think wrapping other depends onto Koii is going to be a big part. I see a big question here about governance. We're very open to having governance on this. I think the main timeline here, though, is we have developers in-house that are working really hard to make all the products that we offer. The main thing with decentralized governance, though, is we also have a foundation that offers grants. So if anybody wants to work on any of these things, we're really excited to have them come and help do that. So if you're asking about having Bitcoin nodes running on mobile for Koii, we can help you figure out how to do it, but we need somebody to own it who's not working at Koii Labs. Because there's only so much that we can do, and we want more people to come in and help. We are working on how to bring them on board. There's ways to do hackathon partnerships and stuff like that. But what we found is slow and steady seems to be the best way. There's lots of folks like Marango and Jordan and Sagar who come in out of the blue and are really awesome at this. And we'd prefer to try and keep the door open for those guys as opposed to going and spending all our money trying to work on hackathons. That works for much larger brands like Ethereum and Solana, but that's where they've been around for a lot longer, right? So Koi's only been on mainnet for about 6.5 months at this point, so it's very early stages. That's also why the token price is so low, though, right? Because we're very early. So if you think of it that way, the upside on Solana or Ethereum is quite a bit lower because the max that you can do there is double up. Whereas Koii, there's a good chance that holding the token could pay off really significantly in the long run.
Al, just a quick question: was there any talk in the past, and I'm late to the table with this one, but like Watcher Nodes, other projects out there are selling branded appliances, branded hardware. Obviously, I'm very keen to get it onto the Raspberry Pi. I know there's issues with the CPU; it doesn't work with the CPU that's in those boxes at the moment. I know there's Docker issues and things that others are trying to make it work. But is there an opportunity to actually brand a micro PC or some sort of Raspberry Pi with Koii and sell that as a node that can handle X number of tasks? It's got a certain number of compute, and you can just set them up. I mean, they're so cheap to run. Is there any development or worthwhile investment in an appliance or hardware appliance sell as a Koii node?
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to have somebody do it. It's something we've looked at in-house at Koii Labs, and we like just the number of engineers we have is not enough to support like a whole hardware team. We have made a partnership with Functionland and a few other ones who are interested in supporting us on that side. But yeah, I think at this point, the only thing that's stopping us from running this on ARM processors like the Raspberry Pi is just to actually compile it on a Raspberry Pi. So the desktop node that's available currently is completely viable as long as somebody runs the compile. So you can just take the existing GitHub repo and then like set up the compile process on a Raspberry Pi, and then you should be able to ship it. So that's something that we'd love to see.
Yeah, they're pretty powerful devices. I've got the latest version. I run Home Assistant with it. I've got all my air conditioning, my lights, my blinds, the solar, everything's on it. And I'm just thinking they're so cheap to buy versus what people are spending for dedicated hardware. You know, you could just have a stack of them in a RAID set with just individual slots, so you can run 8 nodes, and they're capable of running multiple tasks. So, you know, just wondered if that was an option with the Koii branding on it. Sell them through the website. A portion goes back to Koii, and then people get themselves some hardware.
Yeah, it's definitely something we really wanted to have. It's just something where I think the ROI per node is the key thing. So getting more tasks in and more like tokens trading on the DEX is the hardest part. But it seems like a lot of that stuff's coming together. So it might be the right time finally.
Solana phones, you've got mobiles, you've got projects that have mobile phones. So let's do it with Koii. Be great.
Yeah. I think it takes a pretty dedicated community. The first wave of the Solana mobiles was pretty terrible. So you have to have a group of the community that are willing to endure that pain. But it's definitely an interesting.
I've got some ideas on that. I'll talk to you about that offline.
Sure. Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, unless there's other questions, I haven't seen many other questions popping up. I saw, I guess Vuk said, is there a solution for a node operator who wants to run a Prometheus but cannot or will not buy an API key? It's something that we would like to do in the future. Right now, it's more about performance for the customer at the end of the chain. In the future, though, we are working on having Gemini keys integrated. And so Gemini keys are free if you have a Gmail account, and I think we'll probably have that set up in the near future. It's just a little bit lower priority because while it's great for the node operator, it doesn't really help the customer have a better experience. I think we are going to have some applications like that with Tribe, though, and I expect hopefully we'll get some of those in front of you guys soon. It's all different building blocks, though, and it's depends how many people are working on it and how excited they are. So as usual, if you are a developer and you're watching this, please reach out to us, and we have grants, which is how we're funding all these other projects on the ecosystem, and we'd love to get you involved as well. Thanks for getting on and speaking with us today, guys. Really appreciate it. Excited to see more from these projects. Vuk, definitely agree. More about customers right now than node operators. We've got like 800 node operators on Prometheus, so that's a lot of firepower to work with. But we're growing it, and things are coming along. Thanks everybody for getting on and for the questions. We'll have another happy hour probably either next week or the following week. Maybe we'll get a demo of Tree then, as well as some of the other projects coming out.
Sounds good. I know TCN's on now, so I'll talk to him after this.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks very much, guys. Bye for now.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Cheers.